Hey everyone, welcome back to my couch. Why am I wearing this weird outfit? Well, earlier today I was helping out with a LARP, live action role playing, online, so don't worry. But the theme is Tron, so I made myself this like Tron outfit. I am an NPC, a non-player character, so players will be interacting with me. Anyway, that's why I'm wearing this, but anytime that I put on makeup for any reason, I'm like, I should also film. So we're here to do a book review. Somebody here on my channel for the first time, like, who is this absolute weirdo? Why are they dressed like this? I just want to know about One by One by Ruth Ware. I have been in the mood for thrillers, and I absolutely love isolation thrillers, which are thrillers that take place in like one location, pretty much. People are usually trapped in said location, usually by the weather, though not always. And I just love those where like there's a murderer, one of them is a killer, who is it? And they're all trapped together. I love that stuff. And Ruth Ware does a lot of those kinds of thrillers, so I've actually kind of been working my way through her, like, catalog, essentially. And I enjoyed One by One, although I didn't think it was perfect, so I figured we can talk about it here today. I didn't, again, take any notes, because apparently I just don't take notes anymore. So we're gonna read the synopsis of One by One here on my computer, which is just off screen. Getting snowed in at a beautiful, rustic mountain chalet doesn't sound like the worst problem in the world, especially when there's a breathtaking vista, a cozy fire, and company to keep you warm. But what happens when the company is 8 of your coworkers, and you can't trust any of them? When an off-site company retreat meant to promote mindfulness and collaboration goes utterly wrong, when an avalanche hits, the corporate food chain becomes irrelevant, and survival trumps togetherness. Come Monday morning, how many members short will the team be? A smallish tech company gets stuck at a sort of team retreat in a chalet when there is an avalanche and people start to die. Now, as is pretty obvious by the name One by One, this does have elements of Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, although we'll talk a little bit more about ways that I wish that it had used more of the elements of And Then There Were None. The first thing that I have to say is that Ruth Ware and I are really, she's one of those hit or miss authors for me. I liked The Death I liked The Death of Mrs. Westaway, but I did not like The Woman in Cabin 10. I actually kind of hated The Woman in Cabin 10, which is actually one of the ones that a lot of people really like. So it's kind of like I go back and forth with her, but fortunately I was intrigued enough reading this one to enjoy my time. You know I love a good setting, and setting it in the ski chalet that gets hit by an avalanche was definitely a very effective way to trap everybody there. Obviously there's no cell signal, oh no! And everybody's stuck there having to deal with the fact that more and more of them are winding up dead. The first one seems like an accident, but then slowly, as we continue, the deaths seem less and less accidental. This is Nigel, by the way. He's here to hit me in the face with his tail. Just wait for it. It's coming. And of course you know that characters are where, there it is, it's at for me, so how are the characters in this book? To be honest with you, Ruth Ware tends to write characters that are just this side of being like round characters. They're just a little bit flat for me still, and I wish they had a touch more personality. However, in this one, we have one of the archetypes that I like it when she writes, and that is an actually competent character, and that competent character was even one of our viewpoint characters. There's only 2 employees at the ski chalet, and they are Aaron, who's the viewpoint character, and I want to say Ron, I've forgotten his name, but the chef that is with her there. And their friendship is great. I love their friendship. And they are my favorite characters by far in this book. And Erin is great because she's good at her job, she's competent, she's level-headed, and also she reminds me a lot of myself, which I know it seems kind of weird, but I have been in a lot of service industry jobs, especially when I was a caterer, and there were some moments where I completely related to her, where you have to keep your customer service mask on, everybody looks to you as though you have the answers just because like you are an employee or you're like in the service industry, so they're like, oh, what do we do? And they look at you and you just have to figure it out. So the way that she takes charge, the way that she handles people, the way that she feels a duty to people, it was very reminiscent about how I've felt in jobs like that. Plus, it's really nice to have something to offset the other viewpoint character who is my least favorite of Ruth Ware's type of characters, and that is anxiety is my personality. And I hate that, because as an anxiety sufferer myself, it really annoys me when people treat anxiety as though it is your one and only personality trait and you can just go from there. Absolutely hate that. And so the second viewpoint character is my least favorite. But the good thing is that the first viewpoint character, Erin, makes up for it completely, and that's the main reason that I enjoyed this book. I wanted all Erin all the time. Please give me the Erin show because she was great. I'm trying not to get Nigel's hair all over this white shirt, but I'm not succeeding. The whole reason that he is even here is because I'm wearing a white shirt. But what about the plot itself? How was the mystery? How were the murders? I will say that a big complaint a lot of people have, which didn't bother me, but I could see how it would bother some people, is that the beginning, middle are really kind of slow, and we take quite a while to get up to the murder, and even after we have our first one, there's still quite a bit of time before we decide that like actual murders are happening. And there's all this stuff about this app that this little company owns and whether they're going to sell it and who has shares. And like, if you don't find any of that interesting, I could definitely see how this book would be incredibly boring to you. I was actually kind of intrigued by the app. It's Spotify, but you get to listen in to, it's called Snoop, you get to listen in on what celebrities are listening to. So say I love Tom Hiddleston. I could go on my Snoop and be like, what's Tom Hiddleston listening to right now? And we could listen to the same music at the same time. Which I don't know if it's something that I would do, but at the same time, I did find it somewhat believable that could be an app that would exist. And it was a good way to transition between characters, because every time we transitioned, you would be reminded, like, who is that character snooping? So, like, what music are they listening to? How many followers does that character have? That kind of thing. And there could be, like, little hints within the app itself as to what was going on. Will I ever be satisfied with my framing in this video? Clearly not. So what about the twist? Did I guess the murderer? Yes. Almost immediately. It's fairly obvious. I even pretty much figured out their motive. Like, I didn't know the tiny nitty-gritty details, but I pretty much had it all figured out, which was disappointing. I was really hoping that it was a red herring and that later we were gonna find out, like, who's the real killer. And I guess I could just talk about this now. I'm gonna put a little spoiler warning up, because even though I'm not going to tell you who the actual killer is, I am going to tell you who the killer is not, so it will eliminate one of your suspects. Real quick, because I know I have a lot of people who listen rather than watching the video, this is your warning that I will also be doing a mild spoiler for And Then There Were None, so if you don't want any spoilers for that, also skip this. So, spoiler, and then I'll put a timestamp. Come back when the spoiler is over. Ready? Okay, spoiler time. Having read And Then There Were None myself, I was really hoping to find out that one of the people that we thought were dead actually turned out to be the murderer. There is someone killed early on, but she's killed off screen, and I was really hoping that her death was a red herring and she had sneaked back in and was murdering people. I could even come up with a reason for her to be doing it, but unfortunately they went with the most obvious one instead. Okay, spoiler over. I was just disappointed that I was able to so easily guess who the murderer was. It didn't completely eliminate my enjoyment. There were definitely a lot of like cool, tense moments still, but having it figured out so soon was kind of disappointing. And I know a lot of people also figured it out looking at reviews. The ending itself, the climax, was pretty tense, and if you think that a crazy intense ski chase sounds thrilling to you, then this book might be exactly what you're looking for. Now, it did drag on maybe a little bit long for me, but honestly, it was pretty nail-biting. People gonna die. I did notice, however, for the first time, because I'm reading another Ruth Ware book, as I have finished this one, now I'm reading another one, I've noticed a Ruth Ware-ism that I'm curious to see if I notice in other books of hers. The villain will convince a good guy at some point to drink poison. Drink something that has been poisoned. And she uses it a lot. So I'm curious to see if it's in like every single one of her works. But like from now on, if anyone ever hands me a drink, I'm not going to drink it because it is 100% drugged. Okay, everybody, that was my review of One by One by Ruth Ware. Did you read this one? Did you enjoy it? Do you like isolation thrillers? Have you read And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie? That one's good too. Thanks so much for watching this video today. Thank you for forgiving my weird attire and my odd camera problems. Remember, I post new videos at least twice a week. I have tons of book reviews already filmed, all in a nice little playlist for you, so feel free to check those out. I'm sure you'll find more things that you've heard of before, and maybe some things that you haven't that you want to check out. I also have a Patreon where you can get exclusive content not seen here on the regular channel, including content involving my adorable pets. Follow me on social media if you want to keep track of my other shenanigans, and I will see all of you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye!
Why don't I tell you all a tale of some amazing patrons, like Belle, Patrick, Anne Sophie, Callison, Ray, Artemis, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Irene, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, and Sarah. What did those amazing people do? Why, they came on over and supported me on my Patreon to help me fulfill my writing dreams. When we finally kiss goodnight, oh, I'll hate to go out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. The fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbying. But as long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.